Okay, so in this part of the shopping cart tutorial, we're going to come up with a function that's going to let us list our products. So the way we do this in PHP is obviously we start off with the function word and we say products, and that's what we're calling our function. Now you'll notice that I've used some curly brackets here to start and end this function. So the function data, or the function code rather, will go inside here. Okay, so the first thing that we want to do is we want to create a MySQL query to grab all the information we need from our database. So I'm going to keep PHPMyAdmin open here just as a reference, so I can see my field names and see what I need to display and what I don't need to display. For example, we don't need to display the quantity to the user. I mean, you could if you wanted to, but in this instance we're not. So we need to create a function, a MySQL query. So I'm going to call this get and MySQL query. Now inside of this query I'm going to say select ID, comma, name, comma, description and price, and then that's from products where. Right, now this is the where keyword that we're using, and we need to create a condition. So I want to say whether quantity is bigger than 0. If the quantity here is set to 0, I don't want to display the product because there's no quantity in stock. So there's no stock basically. So quantity is bigger than 0. It's as simple as that. That's all we need to do. Now we need to say order by ID descending. So we're ordering it by the ID, which is the number where the number will be basically where it's created. So 1 is the first one I've created, 2 is the second. I mean, this isn't massively important. As long as all your items are there, then it's fine. But we're just basically listing items because of the simplicity of this cart. Now what we need to do is we need to create an if statement. And I'm going to say if MySQL num rows and inside of our brackets we need to say get, because we're taking the number of rows that have been returned in this query here. If they don't equal 0, in fact no, what we'll do is we'll say if they equal 0, then we're going to echo an error message here. This basically means nothing's been returned, so it will mean no products need to be displayed. So I can say here echo there are no products to display. Okay, then obviously we're going to say else, and in here we're going to display the products themselves. So let's just test this quickly. In here we'll write echo success. That means that the products have been found, so we should be returned with success. Let's have a look. Maybe not. Okay, so let's just go back and check out our code. So we've got our query here, select ID, name, description, price from products where quantity is bigger than 0, order by ID descending. If MySQL num rows get equal 0. Okay. Again, this is me being silly. We haven't called this function, so we haven't called the function products. So what I'm going to do is from index.php now we're going to switch over to, I'm going to say PHP start and end my tags. I'm just bringing that one up there, and I'm going to say products. Cool. Products. Now obviously at the top of here I'm going to have to include this file, so I'm going to require cart.php. Now you've probably come across this before where you're just including the file onto the page. So I've required cart.php and I'm calling the products function, so here. So let's now go ahead. Now what we're doing now is we're not staying on the cart.php page, we're returning to the index page, so index.php and success. So what we've done is we've included our cart.php in our index.php and we've called the products function and we've had a success. So now what's going to happen if we change the quantity? So I'm going to go ahead and change the quantity of this book to 0. Now you can test this either by deleting your products entirely or just changing the quantities. So obviously, to save time, I'm just going to change the quantities. So both quantities are now set to 0. This means that no products are available to be displayed according to our rules in our query. So if I refresh, there are no products to display. So obviously, once we change the quantities back, they'll be able to be displayed. We haven't created the code to do this yet, but we will in a minute. So let me just quickly change these back. So book was 10 and quantity for the T was 3. Okay, so let's just refresh again. So success. Now in this success part, obviously we don't want to display success to the user. That would be pointless. What we want to do is we want to create something that's going to display all of our products that we've returned in this query. So I'm going to say while MySQL fetch assoc, if you like. This just grabs an associated array from all your products. In fact, what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, well, get row equals this, that's get in there. So we're creating a variable here which is actually going to become an array. This turns the results of this into an array, and here we can display them. So you should be familiar with this. If you're not, have a look through some of my other tutorials and you'll get to grips with it. So we need to echo out all this data now. So this is going to be quite long. The first thing I want to do is start off with a paragraph and end with a paragraph, and everything goes in here. Now at the moment, this will just be displayed twice. And the reason for this is we have selected 2 different products to display, but instead of here we want to display the specific product information. So where that is, we need to display certain things. So in between here, I'm going to echo get row name. Okay, so what I'm actually doing is using these full stops just as a concatenation. So I'm concatenating get row name to the end of this paragraph here, and then I'm concatenating the end of the paragraph to the end. So you should be familiar with this as well. Let's refresh, and we've got T and book. So you can see how this is adding each item in just with one loop. So name, and then what do we want to add? We want to add a break, and then we want to concatenate on the description. So we're going to do the same thing, get row description. These here are basically just the field names. So if you look inside your database for reference, we've got let's just browse that again. We've got name and description. So let's go back to our code. So we've got name, description, that's breaking down. Let's refresh and check that. Okay, yeah, so that's working. Now what we want to do is break down again, and we want the price this time. So it's get row price. Now we need to format this, because if you look at the moment, it's going to be displayed. Oh no, it's displayed with two digits. If it doesn't display properly, you need to use the number format function, and this basically sets however many decimal points you want to be added. So we'll pop this in anyway, number format. So we're going to include what we've just echoed out there inside this, and I'm going to do it to 2 decimal places. Now you can see there won't be much change at the moment, but if I was to say want it to 4 decimal places, you can see how this function formats it and just sort of adds on the extra zeros. But if you are having problems, for example, if instead of 6.99 you're getting 6.9 being displayed or anything like that, I think if I was to do £3.50 for example, it would just display 3.5. So maybe we could change that in the database so I can just make my point clearer. So we've got $3.99, that's absolutely fine. I'm going to change the T to cost £6.50, and I'm going to click go. So you can see at the moment it's displaying £6.50. However, if I was to only have it to 1 decimal place, which is default, would have 6.5. We take this out entirely, we get 6.5 here and 3.99, that's displayed properly, but with 6.5 obviously we're popping in this number format function so we get the 2 decimal places basically. So I know that was a bit of a long-winded way around that, but at least you know what that's for now. Okay, now next to that we need to add an add button. So I'm going to say ahref equals, and we're going to end that, add here, and then in here we're going to say cart.php add equals, and we're going to pass through as a get variable the ID of this product. So remember, we grabbed the ID here, we then need to pass that through to cart.php. So again, we're going to concatenate get row ID, simple. So if we refresh, we can see what it looks like now. Okay, so if you look at the bottom of this of my browser, you can see the link. That's add equals 2, and this one is add equals 1 at the end. So if we click on it, we've got cart.php add equals 1. Now that's all well and good, but we've got no way to deal with adding this to our cart. So we've displayed our products now, that's all done. On the next part of the tutorial, we're going to work out how to add them to our shopping cart.